Stop scrolling right now. Yes, I am speaking directly to you in this exact moment. You were about to swipe past this video, and your thumb was already moving across the cold glass of your screen. But a divine emergency has been declared over your household today because heaven has commanded your full attention. This is not just another message on your feed. This is a sovereign interdiction sent to rescue your soul before the night falls. My beloved child, look at what you are doing to yourself. You are wandering through the digital noise looking for relief. Your eyes are heavy with exhaustion, while your heart is burdened by heavy thoughts. And every single evening when the sun goes down, the heavy ache rises inside your chest again. You try to distract your mind. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be better, but deep inside your spirit, you know that your strength is fading fast. The fact that you are sitting here listening to these words right now is not an accident. It was arranged before the foundations of the world were laid, and I guided your steps to this exact intersection tonight. You did not stumble upon this channel by chance. I knew you would be searching for a sign. I saw you gripping your steering wheel yesterday while holding back silent tears, and I heard every quiet groan that left your lips when no one else was watching. You have been carrying a heavy secret. You wear a smile during the day to keep your family from worrying, and you perform your duties at work without uttering a single complaint. But when you are alone in the dark, the heavy mask comes off. The crushing weight of your financial stagnation sits heavily upon your shoulders. You wonder if anyone truly notices your pain, but I tell you today that I see every single crack in your soul. I am speaking to you with absolute authority because time is running out. A major shift has been set in motion concerning your lineage and your future. While the enemy tries to convince you that your current suffering is your permanent home, he whispers that you are forgotten. He tells you that your prayers have been lost in the silence of the sky. But he is a liar. And today I am shattering his deceptive trap over your life. Do not dare to skip this message. If you turn your heart aside right now and return to the mindless noise of the world, you will miss the very lifeline heaven has extended to your living room. The window of opportunity that I opened before your feet is closing quickly. I have held back the impending storm just to deliver these specific instructions to your heart because you need to pay close attention to every word that leaves my mouth tonight. You are a royal heir in exile who has been living on crumbs for far too long. You carry royal blood in your spiritual veins, yet you have allowed the spirit of lack to treat you like a beggar at the gates. You have accepted silent endurance as maturity, and you have called emotional numbness your peace. But I did not create you to walk through this world with your head bowed down in shame, because I made you to be a mighty chain breaker for your entire family line. Within the next 72 hours, an unexpected shift will unfold in your physical reality. Something that has been forming quietly behind the spiritual veil is about to break through into your hands. The closed doors that made you weep last month were not meant to destroy your hope. They were sovereign locks turned by my own hand to protect you from hidden betrayal, because I was isolating you in the dark wilderness so I could refine your spirit into a pure vessel. I am stripping away the false shelters you built with human hands. You tried to fix your own problems, and you relied on your own wisdom until your energy was completely drained. Now, your hands are empty. But your empty hands are the exact requirement for my divine overflow. When you stop fighting with your own limited strength, my supernatural power takes over your battle, and you will see my glory in this very moment. Listen to the rhythm of my voice. Feel the warmth of my presence filling the room around you right now. The suffocating atmosphere that made it hard for you to breathe earlier is beginning to lift. The invisible heavy chains around your ankles are growing weak. This encounter was scheduled in the courts of heaven specifically for your deliverance, because you were not forgotten in the shadows but simply hidden until the appointed hour of your unveiling. If your spirit recognizes my voice tonight, do not scroll away. Stay inside this quiet chamber for a few precious moments, for every word that follows has been weighed for your complete restoration. I am about to expose the exact strategy the enemy used to leak your peace over the last 90 days. And I am going to show you how to take back everything that was stolen from your house. Now I want to take you into a quiet place that requires real honesty tonight. I saw you last week when the entire house was completely silent. It was 2 in the morning, and you were lying awake staring at the dark ceiling. Your eyes were wide open while your mind raced with relentless fear. You turned from side to side trying to find comfort, but every time you tried to close your eyes, the heavy knot in your chest refused to let you rest. I know about the silent tears you wiped away in secret. You waited until you were alone in the shower where the running water could hide the sound of your crying. You swallowed your heavy sighs so your children would not ask what was wrong. You gripped the bathroom sink until your knuckles turned white while trying to compose your face. Then you took a deep breath and you walked back out to face the world. You have become a master at wearing the heavy mask. Every single morning you put on a smile before you leave your home, and you tell everyone that you are fine when they ask about your life. You encourage others when they are fighting difficult battles. You pray for your friends when they feel weak. But when you look in the mirror late at night, you see a wounded warrior who is barely holding on. Your physical body is carrying the heavy toll of this long battle. Your shoulders are permanently tight because you have been carrying burdens that were never meant for your strength. Your stomach turns into a knot every time your phone alerts you about another unexpected emergency. And even after spending 8 hours in bed, you wake up feeling just as exhausted as when your head first hit the pillow. The deepest cuts in your spirit did not come from strangers. They came from the very people you loved and protected with everything you had inside you. You opened your heart to them, but they used your vulnerability against your peace. You stood by their side during their darkest seasons. Yet when your own trial arrived, they vanished into thin air. That painful betrayal left a jagged scar across your soul. I watched you sitting at your kitchen table while the rest of the world was fast asleep. You looked at the unpaid bills stacked on the counter while calculating numbers over and over in your mind. You wondered how you were going to bridge the financial gap before the end of the month. A quiet wave of panic rose in your throat because you realized that your extra effort was still not enough. You have felt the suffocating spirit of isolation pulling you down into darkness. You sit in rooms full of laughing people, but you feel completely detached from everything happening around you. You nod your head and pretend to engage in their conversations, while inside your mind you feel like a ghost drifting through a foreign land. You wonder if anyone would even notice if you simply disappeared. You have tried to convince yourself that this suffering is your permanent home. You think that because you have struggled for so long, this heavy fog will never lift from your family line. But I am exposing these hidden chambers tonight not to condemn your spirit or make you feel ashamed. I am shining my light into your wounds because what remains hidden in the dark can never be fully restored. Stop calling your emotional numbness peace. You tell yourself that you have made peace with your situation, but in reality, you have simply shut down your heart to protect yourself from future pain. You built a thick wall of ice around your soul and called it maturity. But that cold wall is not protecting your life, because it is blocking my healing oil from touching the places where you bleed. You do not have to perform for my presence tonight. I do not require you to act strong when your inner world feels like it is collapsing into dust. You can drop the heavy armor that has bruised your shoulders for years. You can finally stop pretending that you have everything under control. Bring me your messy reality, your broken promises, and your raw grief, because I am closer than your next breath. The enemy wanted you to believe that your secret suffering went completely unnoticed by heaven. He whispered that your tears were useless, and that your quiet sacrifices were forgotten by those around you. But I have recorded every single drop that fell from your eyes onto your bed sheets. I have recorded every groan that left your spirit when you were too tired to form real words. Look past the exhaustion of your body and prepare your heart for what is happening right now. The suffocating atmosphere that held your mind captive is starting to break apart under the weight of my glory. You are entering a holy altar of absolute release tonight. Give yourself permission to let go of the heavy control that you have been fighting so hard to maintain. Let those tears fall right now, my beloved child. Do not wipe them away in shame, and do not hold back the heavy sobbing that is rising in your throat tonight. For too long you have forced yourself to be strong. You locked your pain behind a steel wall because you thought weeping was a sign of weakness. But in my presence, your tears are holy. They are the physical evidence that your ice wall is finally melting away under my warmth, and I am collecting every single drop in my golden bottle. I am taking off the heavy suit of armor that has bruised your shoulders for years. You built that armor out of self-defense, because the people you trusted most wounded you without mercy. You decided that you would never let anyone get close enough to hurt you again. You relied on your own wisdom, and you tried to be your own savior in the dark. But that heavy armor was never designed for your spirit, and it has worn your soul down to absolute dust. Feel my warm presence washing over your wounded heart right now. I am dissolving the thick stone wall that you built around your emotions, and I am releasing a warm river of living peace into your weary soul. You do not have to fight anymore. You do not have to guard your boundaries against me, because my intentions toward your life are purely good. I am holding you safely in my hands, and no evil force can ever pluck you out of my care. Release the deep poison of past betrayals into my hands tonight. You have carried the bitter memory of those who walked away when you needed them most. You replay their harsh words in your head, and you suffer the same pain over and over again. I am asking you to surrender that heavy grudge onto my fiery altar right now. Forgiveness is not letting them off the hook, but it is unlocking the prison door of your own soul so you can walk free into your destiny. You do not have to perform or achieve anything to earn my love. The world taught you that your worth was tied to your performance, your income, and the opinions of others. You spent decades striving to prove that you were worthy of affection. But I loved you long before you took your very first breath. Your value was established by my cross, and nothing in this world can ever diminish your royal dignity in my eyes, because you belong to me forever. Let your physical body relax into my absolute rest tonight. Your nervous system has been trapped in fight or flight for far too many seasons, while your body remained locked in constant alarm. Take a deep breath right now, and let my quiet peace fill your weary lungs like clean, fresh air. Feel the tension leaving your neck, your shoulders, and your tight stomach as my living water flows gently through your veins to restore your weary frame. I am restoring the broken pieces of your mind that were shattered by constant anxiety. You thought you were losing your sanity because the mental fatigue was too heavy to carry alone. But I am giving you the spirit of a sound mind and holy quietness. The noisy thoughts that tormented you at midnight are losing their power over your attention. A quiet calm is settling upon your spirit, and your soul is finding its true anchor in my presence tonight. I am stripping away the suffocating cloak of shame that the enemy placed over your head. He tried to make you feel like a complete failure because your life did not unfold according to your original plans. He pointed at your empty hands and whispered that your best years were behind you. But I call you my masterpiece. The season of humiliation is coming to an end, and I am lifting your chin so you can look straight into my eyes of pure affection. I am replacing your heart of stone with a soft heart of flesh tonight. You will no longer view the world through the dark lens of suspicion and fear, because I am pouring fresh spiritual oil into every dry place in your soul. I am reviving the buried dreams that you gave up on years ago. The passion that was extinguished by disappointment is sparking back to life, and your strength is being restored like the eagle. Allow my peace to settle deeply into your spirit before we move forward. The heavy emotional burden that you brought into this video is rolling away like a massive stone. Your soul is clean, your atmosphere is quiet, and your heart is light once again. Now that your inner temple is cleansed from grief, your spiritual ears are ready to hear the divine reframing of your past trials. Prepare your mind, for I am about to reveal the hidden glory behind your dark valley. Take a deep breath and rest in this holy silence. You are no longer carrying the pain of yesterday on your own shoulders. The heavy chains of emotional isolation have fallen to the floor, and your spirit is free to receive the royal inheritance I prepared for you. Stand still in my presence. Keep your heart open, and let my sovereign truth continue to transform your life tonight. Now I want to open your spiritual eyes to a truth that will change your perspective forever. You believed that my silence over the last season meant that I had abandoned your cause. You thought that because your prayers received no immediate answer, Heaven had forgotten your name. But my silence was not my denial. It was my sovereign protocol of divine security to shield your destiny from those who sought your downfall. When a builder prepares to erect a massive skyscraper, he must first dig a deep hole into the earth. The deeper the foundation goes, the higher the building can safely rise. For months you have felt like you were falling into a dark pit, and every area of your life seemed to shrink. But I was not burying your dreams in the mud. I was excavating the dirt of self-sufficiency so my glory could rest upon an unshakable rock. Remember the story of young Joseph in the ancient scriptures. He was thrown into a dark, dry pit by his own brothers, and he was sold into slavery as a forgotten servant. He spent years inside a cold prison cell for a crime he never committed. In those dark hours, he could have believed that my promises were false, but that hidden dungeon was not his grave. It was the divine incubator that trained his heart to manage the wealth of Egypt. I had to quiet the atmosphere around your life to protect your blueprint. If I had revealed the full scale of your upcoming promotion too early, the enemy would have mobilized every betrayer to sabotage your path. I placed you under a holy gag order. I locked the doors, and I silenced the prophetic noise, because I was surrounding your inheritance with heaven's highest security team. What felt like isolation was actually my strategic quarantine. You asked me for a massive harvest, but your vessel was far too small. Your old mindset was cracked by fear, and your hands were too weak to hold the abundance I promised. If I had poured the full measure of my blessing into your life last year, the weight would have crushed your spirit. So I allowed the heat of the furnace to melt away the weak places in your character, because I needed a vessel that could carry royal wealth without breaking. Type 777 in the comments right now as a physical sign that you receive this truth into your soul. When you leave those numbers below, you are declaring to the spiritual realm that you no longer view your trial through human eyes. You are agreeing with my sovereign design, and you are stepping out of confusion into absolute trust. Let your comment be a legal seal that locks your heart into my eternal timing. Look back at the doors that were slammed in your face over the past 90 days. You wept when those business opportunities fell apart, and you felt deeply rejected when those partners walked away. But I turned those key locks myself. I removed those toxic alliances from your circle, because they would have stolen the fruits of your next season. I closed those temporary doors to save you from a permanent disaster that you could not see. Gold does not complain while it sits inside the roaring furnace. It yields to the intense heat because it knows that the fire is burning away the worthless dross. You are my precious gold. The fiery trials that burned away your false comfort were not sent to consume your life, but to purify your faith until it shines like a brilliant diamond. You are emerging from the heat with absolute authority and unbreakable endurance. Stop looking at your empty hands with resentment and regret tonight. The empty state of your hands is not proof of my absence, but it is the required space for my divine overflow. A full hand cannot receive a new gift, and a satisfied spirit will never hunger for righteousness. I emptied your vessel so that I could fill it with the unsearchable riches of my kingdom, and your season of lack is coming to an end. Listen carefully to this hidden spiritual law before we move forward. The intensity of your preparation always matches the magnitude of your ultimate manifestation. The enemy fought you so fiercely in the dark because he measured the massive size of the light that is about to burst through your household. He saw your blueprint in the courts of heaven, and he knew that your breakthrough would shatter the generational curses of your family forever. Anchor your heart in this glorious reality as you listen to my voice tonight. You are no longer a victim of unfortunate circumstances, but you are a royal student in my higher academy. The dark valley was not a detour, and your tears were never wasted in vain. Everything you lost in the wilderness was simply the price of admission into your true kingdom authority, and your appointed hour of elevation has finally arrived. Lift up your head right now, my beloved child. Look at the spiritual authority that was placed inside your soul before you were born into this physical world. You are not a helpless survivor, begging for mercy from a harsh world. You carry royal blood in your spiritual veins, because you are an heir to a kingdom that can never be shaken. The temporary emptiness of your bank account does not define your true value in my presence. Look back at the history of your earthly family line. For generations, your ancestors walked through the dark valley of financial lack, silent tears, and constant struggle. They worked until their bodies were broken, but the spirit of poverty kept them bound to the same heavy cycle. They passed down their anxieties to their children, and you watched your parents carry the same suffocating weight that you are fighting today. I want you to understand why you were chosen out of your entire bloodline. You were not born to repeat their cycles of suffering, because I placed you in this family to be their sovereign chain breaker. You were designated in the courts of heaven to be the one who finally screams no more to poverty and shame. The line of generational lack stops at your feet tonight. That is why the enemy fought your spirit so relentlessly from your early youth. He saw the royal seal stamped upon your forehead, and he knew that your breakthrough would liberate your entire family line. He tried to crush your hope with heavy disappointment. He wanted you to surrender your royal crown before you realized your true authority. But despite every weapon forged against you, you are still standing here listening to my voice. Stop begging for crumbs at secular tables that you were legally born to own. You were created to be a royal ambassador on this earth, yet you allowed fear to convince you that you belong in the shadows. You compromised your dignity just to keep the peace with people who never respected your value. But today I am breaking that spirit of timidity, and I am putting my holy fire into your bones. I am giving you the legal authority to reclaim everything stolen from your family tree over the last 70 years. Where your ancestors lost their land to debt and deceit, you will build a permanent estate of kingdom wealth. Where your parents lived under the dark shadow of chronic sickness and fear, you will walk in divine health and supernatural peace. The heavy curse that plagued your bloodline is officially broken tonight. Say out loud right now with absolute conviction that fear has no place in your living room. When those words leave your mouth, they are recorded as an eternal decree in the courts of heaven. The invisible chains that held your family in financial captivity are snapping under the weight of my living word. Your children will not inherit your debts, but they will walk into the vast inheritance that I am preparing for your hands. You are a refined vessel, chosen to carry royal abundance into the dark places of this world. Do not let the spirit of lack whisper lies into your ears ever again. You are not an accident, and your life is not a random chain of unfortunate events. Every step you took through the dark wilderness was a strategic lesson to prepare your heart for the massive responsibility coming upon your shoulders. Square your shoulders and stand tall in my presence right now. You are a precious jewel that was covered in temporary dust, but I am wiping away the shame of your past. The very people who counted you out will soon watch me prepare a feast for you in plain sight. They will see the glory of my hand upon your life, and they will know that the Most High is your protector. Feel the royal confidence taking over your mind in this quiet moment. The heavy spirit of depression is lifting from your chest, while your true royal identity is shining through the dark fog. You are no longer fighting for victory. You are fighting from the place of absolute victory that was secured for you long ago. Keep your spirit vigilant, for we are about to step onto the holy battlefield to claim your total liberation. Hold fast to this royal mindset as we move into the climax of this sacred encounter. The enemy knows that his time over your household is up, and he is terrified of the warrior you are becoming tonight. Do not look back at the dark prison you left behind. Keep your eyes fixed on my living promise, and prepare your hands to receive the keys to your royal inheritance. You were created for such a time as this. Take a deep breath and feel my authority flowing through your limbs. The spirit of defeat has lost its legal hold over your lineage, and your spiritual eyes are wide open. Stand firm in your royal identity, because heaven is standing behind every decree you speak in my name tonight. Wake up your spirit right now, for the battle has reached its absolute peak. I command you to snap out of the spiritual haze that has been clouding your mind for months. The enemy knows that your season of manifestation is sitting right at your doorstep. He sees the massive shift taking place in the heavenly realms over your home, and he is desperately throwing his final weapons of distraction to make you surrender before midnight. I am exposing the most dangerous trap that hell has set against your destiny today. It is the subtle spirit of delayed obedience. The enemy rarely comes to a chosen child of God telling them to curse my name directly. Instead, he whispers 3 quiet words that sound so reasonable to your exhausted human flesh. He whispers to you to wait until tomorrow, to rest a little longer, and to delay your action until you feel ready. Listen to me very carefully right now. Delayed obedience is simply rebellion wearing the clever mask of human logic. When I give you a direct command to step forward, waiting for a more convenient season is an act of spiritual defiance. Remember King Saul in the ancient times. He compromised my direct command because he feared the opinion of the crowd, and he delayed his obedience until his royal crown was ripped from his hands. The spirit of delay has stolen decades of progress from your family line. Every time heaven opened a golden window of breakthrough for your finances, the enemy whispered that you should hesitate. He told you that you lacked the required training, the right resources, or the proper connections. And while you sat in fear calculating earthly risks, the opportunity passed by, leaving your hands as empty as before. I declare today that the cycle of endless hesitation is dead in your life. You can no longer afford to sit passively in the dark while the enemy loots your royal estate. Stand up in your living room and draw your spiritual sword right now. Your sword is my living word spoken out loud with fierce authority. So open your mouth and shatter the heavy atmosphere of paralysis that has been suffocating your home. Share this spiritual lifeline with one weary soul who is fighting a silent battle tonight. Be the royal instrument my hands use to break their heavy chains before morning comes. When you extend this light to another wounded warrior, you release a double portion of my protection over your own house. Do not let the spirit of selfishness convince you to keep this holy encounter to yourself. I command every demonic spirit of procrastination to loose its grip over your mind. I break the heavy chains of laziness, mental fog, and endless excuses that kept you trapped in the same wilderness. The years that the swarming locusts ate from your youth are being restored to your hands this very hour, because I am injecting fresh supernatural energy into your soul, and your spiritual vigor is returning. Satan has no legal authority over your future anymore. The blood of the covenant was shed to buy back your total freedom, and his claims against your family have been canceled in the supreme court of heaven. When you draw your sword in my name, hell has no choice but to retreat in terror. The weapons forged against your mind are crumbling into useless ash in this very moment, and your liberation is finalized. Stop waiting for human approval before you step into your kingdom assignment. The world will never validate the divine fire that burns inside your bones, because carnal minds cannot comprehend heavenly blueprints. Stop asking permission from people who were never called to walk in your shoes. Step out of their small expectations right now, and step into the vast territory I prepared for your feet. Feel the holy fire rising in your chest as I sever the cords of hesitation. The lingering doubts that made you question your worth are burning away in my presence. You are not a timid victim waiting for disaster to strike your house. You are an armed guardian of my covenant, and you carry the full backing of heaven behind every single step you take into your glorious future. Take a deep breath and keep your spiritual sword unsheathed in your hand. We are stepping off the battlefield of resistance and moving directly onto the sacred altar of total deliverance. The power of delay is completely broken over your bloodline tonight. Keep your heart focused on my voice, for I am about to release the final decree of absolute restoration over your life. Stand firm in this victorious atmosphere as the shadow of delay dissolves into light. The spiritual atmosphere over your house is clean, and your enemy has fled in absolute defeat. You have drawn your sword. You have claimed your authority, and your vessel is ready for the outpouring of my royal inheritance. I issue an unyielding decree from the courts of heaven over your lineage today. Every financial lock that was placed upon your inheritance by ancestral curses is shattered in this exact moment. The legal claims of debt, lack, and sudden loss over your estate are officially revoked under the authority of my living word. The legal border surrounding your property is secured, and my holy angels are stationed around your home. I command the hidden treasuries of heaven to open wide over your living room tonight. Where there was a dry wilderness of unpaid bills and constant anxiety, I am pouring down a continuous stream of supernatural provision. You will no longer beg for scraps or worry about tomorrow's needs, because I am establishing your household as a fountain of kingdom wealth. You will lend to many nations, and you will never need to borrow again. I release supernatural restoration over every physical cell in your living body right now. The chronic pain that plagued your joints and the heavy exhaustion that drained your mind are departing from your frame. I am breathing my living breath into your lungs, and I am restoring the health of your children. Your home is becoming a holy sanctuary of absolute safety, where fear can no longer find a place to rest. Now repeat these sacred words of surrender with your whole heart as we step onto my holy altar together. Say these words out loud or echo them deep inside your spirit. Heavenly Father, I come before your holy presence tonight with a humble and surrendered heart. I lay down every heavy burden, every unspoken fear, and every painful memory that bruised my soul during my dark valley. Lord, I confess that I tried to fix my own problems for far too long. I relied on my human wisdom, and I fought my battles in my own limited strength until my energy was completely drained. I tried to control every detail of my life because I was terrified of being hurt again. But tonight, I let go of the heavy steering wheel of my life, and I place my total trust back into your hands. I release every grudge, every bitterness, and every painful memory of betrayal into your purifying fire. I forgive those who walked away from me when I needed them most, and I release them from the debt of my soul. I break every legal right that the spirit of poverty held over my bloodline. I declare that I am no longer a slave to lack, but I am a royal heir to your kingdom. Lord, cleanse my heart from every hidden crack of doubt, fear, and silent resentment tonight. Wash my mind with your living water until every toxic thought is completely wiped away. I open the deep chambers of my heart to receive your warm healing oil. Fill every empty space in my vessel with your quiet peace, your supernatural strength, and your unshakable joy, so that I may overflow into the lives of others. I dedicate my hands, my mind, and my future resources back into your service tonight. Use my life as a living witness of your mercy, and let my financial breakthrough become a blessing to those who are hurting in the dark. I cover my children and my family line under your holy covenant. Teach me to manage your abundance with wisdom, humility, and royal authority for the rest of my days on this earth. Heavenly Father, I take hold of the royal inheritance that you prepared for my life before the foundation of the world. I claim absolute restoration for the years that the locusts stole from my youth and my family. I declare that my hands are clean, my spirit is free, and my home is protected under your wings. No weapon forged against my mind or my finances shall ever prosper. I speak peace over my mind, health over my body, and supernatural abundance over my living room tonight. I wrap myself in your unfailing love, and I rest completely inside your shadow. Not my human will, but your holy will be done in my life from this moment forward. I lock this prayer into the eternal court of heaven, and I receive my total freedom in your glorious name. Amen. Your prayer has been heard and officially registered in the courts of heaven tonight. The heavy burden that sat on your shoulders has dissolved into thin air, and my holy peace is resting upon your forehead. Your vessel is clean, your atmosphere is purified, and your royal inheritance is officially sealed in my presence. Rest your weary soul in my quiet love, for your breakthrough is already established. Do not let your heart be troubled when you wake up tomorrow morning. The invisible shift that occurred inside your spirit tonight will manifest clearly in your physical reality before this week ends. The old chapter of silent tears and financial struggle is closed forever. Walk forward with the quiet confidence of a royal child, for the Most High is guarding your steps continuously. As this sacred video comes to a close, you must prepare to guard the boundary of your home. Do not rush back into the noisy chaos of the secular world with a frantic mind, because the peace you receive during this holy encounter is a royal treasure. It was paid for by the sacrifice of heaven. The enemy is waiting right outside your digital door because he wants to steal the quiet rest that now fills your chest. I command you to set a permanent spiritual perimeter around your living quarters tonight. Let the atmosphere in your room remain still and pure. Speak peace over your doorway before you turn off your screen, and tell the spiritual realm that no spirit of fear, fear, heaviness, or sudden panic is allowed to cross your threshold. Your home is officially dedicated as a living temple of the Most High God. You must now convert your spiritual breakthrough into a physical covenant seal. Press the subscribe button on this channel and turn on the notification bell right now. You are not doing this for a secular YouTube algorithm, but you are performing a legal spiritual act in the material world. You are marking this sanctuary as your designated watchtower, so your spirit remains anchored in my truth every single day. When you lock your connection to this altar, you place a permanent mark of light upon your house. You tell the enemy that your household is guarded by continuous prophetic intercession. You will no longer wander through the dark wilderness searching for random answers. Every time a new transmission is released from this holy altar, your soul will be nourished with clean living water while your spirit stays strong. Do not leave your altar unguarded when you step back into your daily routine tomorrow. The world will try to distract your attention with urgent demands, unexpected news, and chaotic noise. But when you remain connected to this sanctuary, you keep your spiritual shield active against every fiery dart. You ensure that the living flame on your altar never goes out, and your family remains under heaven's protective shadow. From this moment on, your true identity is officially rewritten in the court of heaven. You are no longer the exhausted survivor weeping in secret behind a forced smile. You step away from this screen as the empowered heir of my promise, because you are the armed guardian of your family covenant. The heavy chains of generational lack in your bloodline are legally broken tonight. Walk forward into tomorrow with the fierce awareness that the Father governs every step you take. Do not look back at the dark prison of doubt that you left behind. When the enemy tries to remind you of your past failures, remind him of his permanent defeat. You carry royal blood in your spiritual veins, and the full backing of heaven stands behind every decree you speak in my name. I am giving you a holy mandate to guard the atmosphere of your home with vigilance. Remove every toxic influence, every bitter conversation, and every negative thought that attempts to pollute your sanctuary. Speak blessings over your kitchen table, your children's bedrooms, and your workplace. When you fill your mouth with my praise, darkness has no choice but to flee from your presence forever. Leave your final declaration of Amen in the comments below to lock this seal in stone. Let those 4 letters represent your absolute agreement with my sovereign will. When your hands type that confession, heaven records your name among the victorious remnant. You have stood your ground, you have drawn your sword, and you have claimed your royal inheritance tonight. If your heart feels led by the Holy Spirit, share this sacred lifeline with a brother or sister who is struggling in silence. Be the vehicle of deliverance my hands use to rescue another weary soul tonight. When you sow a seed of light into another person's dark valley, heaven multiplies the harvest of peace over your own household, and you become an active partner in my divine kingdom strategy. I speak supernatural rest over your body as you lay your head upon your pillow tonight. The suffocating anxiety that kept you awake at 2 in the morning is gone forever. My holy angels are standing guard at the 4 corners of your bed. You will sleep deeply inside my warm shadow, and you will wake up tomorrow morning with fresh energy, clear vision, and unshakable peace. Your season of silent suffering has come to a final end. The closed doors of your past are replaced by the open gates of my divine favor. Look forward with joy, for your eyes will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Go in complete peace, my beloved child, for I am with you always, even until the end of time, and your victory is forever sealed in heaven.